The Assistant Majority Leader.
I ask consent the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Madam President, very shortly we will be voting on the Kristen Clarke nomination to the Department of Justice. This week is an apt time to start the discussion about her nomination because it marks the anniversary of two of the most important Supreme Court decisions in the history of America. The infamous Plessy versus Ferguson decision in 1896, where the Supreme Court established a standard of separate but equal. That was the standard that was used to legally justify racial discrimination throughout America. 60 years later, in a landmark decision of Brown versus Board of Education, the Supreme Court unanimously rejected that shameful doctrine and blazed a trail for the modern civil rights movement. This year, 2021, the Senate has a chance to continue America's long march toward equality and racial justice by confirming principled, experienced leaders to the Department of Justice. The Senate should work expeditiously to consider and confirm these nominees. We've already confirmed Attorney General Merrick Garland, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, and Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta. The next one in the order of the administration priority on hiring in Department of Justice is Kristen Clarke. President Biden has nominated her to lead the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Ms. Clarke is the right person to restore credibility to the Civil Rights Division. Under the previous president, the former Attorney General's Session and Barr, that division was warped into a tool to target and discriminate against marginalized Americans. During that previous administration, the division rescinded guidance that strengthened protection for transgender students. They prohibited the use of consent decrees with local police departments that engage in systemic misconduct. And they abandoned the longstanding principle of defending Americans' right to vote. Now we have an opportunity for a course correction in the Civil Rights Division by confirming a proven civil rights leader to head that division. As a former trial attorney in the division's voting section and a prosecutor in the criminal section, Ms. Clarke has clearly played in the big leagues. She personally understands the role that the division's line attorneys play on a day-to-day basis. Ms. Clarke knows that these career attorneys must be independent from political pressure in order to carry out the mission to defend the civil rights of all Americans. And her diverse background as a legal expert will serve her well. As a former co-director of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund Voting Rights Group, Clarke confronted assaults on voting rights and ballot access like those we're seeing in state legislatures across America today. As the former chief of the New York Attorney General's Civil Rights Bureau, she helped establish the office's Religious Rights Initiative, defending the First Amendment rights of workers throughout the state. You would find it hard to believe, based on some of the earlier statements made on the floor about Ms. Clarke and the issue of freedom of religion, and then learn that she established the office's Religious Rights Initiative in New York. Today, as president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under the Law, Ms. Clarke has spearheaded new initiatives to address civil rights issues created by new technologies. She is singularly qualified to head the Civil Rights Division at this moment. She brings with her a wealth of expertise and experience needed to lead this division at this moment in history. And she also boasts broad, enthusiastic support from the law enforcement community. If you were on the floor and heard the statement previously made by the senior senator from Utah, you would find it hard to believe that law enforcement would support this woman. Some of the things they say about her in criticizing her record suggest that the law enforcement community are her natural enemies. The opposite is true. Throughout her decades of civil rights work, 20 years of working in civil rights that included several years as a prosecutor, she has partnered closely with law enforcement. Many of them have publicly endorsed her, and I'll get to that in a moment. But if you would listen to the arguments from the other side of the aisle, and we heard them in committee, you would think this amazing woman must be so gifted that she can engage in the practice of law for 20 years in the same theater, including law enforcement leaders from all over America, and somehow they never caught on to the fact, according to them, that she was virulently against law enforcement. In fact, they came out and said the opposite. She was fair. She was objective. She was a good partner in trying to resolve difficult issues. They would have us believe that she has this mystical power to take people in law enforcement and delude them, because secretly she is a radical, socialist radical. Not true. The partnership she's had with law enforcement began when she prosecuted hate crimes in the Civil Rights Division, and continues to this day through her work on the Lawyers Committee James Byrd Jr. Center to Stop Hate. That center provides community resources, training, and support for law enforcement to better identify, investigate, prosecute, and report hate crime. In each of these roles throughout her history as a professional prosecutor at the highest levels in the United States of America, Ms. Clarke has earned the respect and trust of members of law enforcement, reflected in their strong support for her nomination. Listen to some of the groups that openly support her and then reflect on some of the charges that were just made against her on the floor by the senator from Utah. She has the support of the Major Cities Police Chiefs Association. She has the support of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. She has the support of Women in Federal Law Enforcement, the Hispanic American Police Command Officers Association, over 40 prominent police chiefs and sheriffs, and Sheriff David Mahoney, who just this month stepped down as president of the National Sheriff's Association. Ms. Clarke's critics would come to the floor and have you believe she's deluded all of them. She's deceived all of them. Despite all of the work they've done with her, she secretly can't stand them. Well, it's not true. And it's not true, and they know it. I think the senators from the other side of the aisle should know it as well. Ms. Clarke has the support of a bipartisan group of former Justice Department officials who wrote to the committee and said, Ms. Clarke's experience, in addition to her high character, made her superior choice to lead the Civil Rights Division. People who worked with her have endorsed her for promotion. Although Ms. Clarke's record demonstrates that she's devoted her life to advancing the civil rights of all Americans, in recent weeks, she has been the target of incredible amount of baseless, vitriolic attacks. I don't understand what's going on around here sometimes when I look at these nominations and wonder how people like her, Kristen Clarke, Vanita Gupta, and others really enrage people on the other side of the aisle to the point where organizations are making concerted efforts to really twist and distort their life's work, their values, and the talents that they bring. Listen to one of these attacks. It was just made again on the floor of the Senate. The attack is that she personally defended Mumia Abu-Jamal, who was convicted in 1982 of the murder of a Philadelphia police officer named David Faulkner. The attack is missing one key point. Ms. Clarke never worked on the Abu-Jamal case. You wouldn't know that from the charges made. But perhaps the most vicious attack against her is the false accusation of anti-Semitism. Now, I am not Jewish, and the senator who suggested that she was anti-Semitic in some of the things that she had said and done is not Jewish either. But those who are of the Jewish faith have considered the charges made against her. Let me tell you what they found. They found these accusations couldn't be further from the truth. Ms. Clarke has spent much of her career defending the rights of Jewish Americans. At the New York State Attorney General's office, she repeatedly defended Jewish employees' right to observe the Sabbath in the workplace. Does that sound like someone who is negative on the issue of freedom of religion? are anti-Semitic. She's also been at the forefront of confronting the growth of anti-Semitic hate and harassment online through her work with the Lawyers Committee. For instance, she helped shut down a virulent white supremacist and anti-Semitic website called Stormfront. Several Jewish groups have emphatically denounced the baseless attacks which continue to be made even to this day against this woman. Notably, the Union for Reform Judaism, the nation's largest Jewish denomination, wrote to the Judiciary Committee to voice unwavering support for Ms. Clarke's nomination. Let me tell you what they said. We've heard the voices who have hurled accusations of anti-Semitism at Ms. Clarke, and we reject them. They do not comport with the career and record of this colleague we have worked with throughout her career. These attempts to smear Ms. Clarke's record are a last-ditch effort to discredit a nominee with exemplary qualifications. The bottom line is this: Ms. Clarke is the right person to lead the Civil Rights Division. It's a difficult assignment. At any time in our history, it's difficult, probably more so today than ever. She is the person for the job. At this moment in history, our country needs her combination of expertise, experience, skills, and thoughtfulness to ensure the Civil Rights Division will again work for all Americans. If she's confirmed to be part of Merrick Garland's team at the Department of Justice, Ms. Clarke would certainly make history, being the first black woman confirmed by the Senate to lead the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, the first. I look forward to supporting her nomination on the floor as we continue this process, and I urge all my colleagues to vote to discharge her nomination from committee and ultimately confirm her to this critical position at the Justice Department. My assignment on the Senate Judiciary Committee is a challenging one. The committee is evenly divided 11 to 11. There are some of the fiercest and strongest partisans from the other side of the aisle as part of this committee structure. I marvel sometimes at things that are said in that committee when I look at the evidence. Certainly when it comes to Ms. Clarke, her actual life, her career, her experience, and what she has done, it belies some of the baseless criticism that is made. I just wonder, what is it about this woman that drives some members into a rage? I've met her. I've heard her question in the committee. I believe she's proven throughout her life she is the right person to move up into this critical position at this moment in history. And I yield the floor.